Thank you.
So let me load the case. So I'll go find the patient CT scan and load.
We did have some challenges getting the prosthesis to align.
For this one?
Yeah, I actually got it to align at 1 times 10 to the 4th millimeters,
All right.
which is like 3 buildings from here.
Okay. Are we talking about chips? Okay. So this CT, I checked the data. Is the slice is about 800 by 800, so it's quite small pixels. Okay, so we load the data, right? So we talk about a little bit about workflow. Typically, we would go ahead load the radiographic guide and expecting it will do the automatic registration, right? But for a better registration, what we want to do actually is we want to do the cutting of the bone, segmentation of the bone first, so we can have better results for the registration. So that's why what I'm doing now. So if I double click here, so that's where the area is, right? Then we can adjust the arch curve at this moment, or we can do later. So given that said, I'm going to do a segmentation of the bone first. So we get to somewhere here, and we will pick a set point so we get rid of the noises. However, let's take a look at this. This is what we have. So
Yeah, not much.
very, very thin. You almost not bone here. And here you got I guess some metal or some high density piece on the prosthesis. And then if you look here, the bone is gone, right? So that's situation we can not really just get this piece to do the bone reduction because there's nowhere to sit the guide. So I was telling Brian I have been working on this for a couple of times, but we didn't finish until we saw this case. So I told myself, let's just get this done. So what you will see today is the first thing. I mean, the first one. You never seen that. We can combine the radiographic guide and or the tissue model and the bone to do the surgical guide. So let's do a little bit clean up for the bone first. So I'm going to do a scatter removal to cut something away. We don't need those, so I'll do a cutting for the moment.
Yeah, you cannot do this until you have a seed point, correct?
Yes. So because if you have a set point, right? If you after you cut, for example, if I'm going to cut here, because the set point is there, it's gonna take this piece and get rid of this one too. So for the moment, let's say let me cut this area a little bit too. Not very necessary, but let's do that. Then we will load the radiography guide.
But our markers are gone, or are they?
Well, the markers are there. It's not in the bone model, but for registration purposes, we have them. So we're loading
Because I was afraid to segment it before importing the.
no worry. So markers are really there. We take this range and we know the markers are there. We're doing the registration now.
Yeah, there is some radio opaque element somebody added to his radiographic guide.
Yeah, here. Yeah, full
Poorly, I might add.
So yeah, this data set, let's say 800 by 800 by 500. It's quite big. Yeah, it should be
Well,
done.
we got a brand new fancy CT scanner.
Oh, that's why. Pretty good quality. Looks like.
Yeah, assuming the patient has any bones in their head.
It's because we're on recording and we are on remote meeting, so this takes a little longer than it normally would.
You got to update your message in the bottom left there.
Yeah. So after today, I'm gonna send you the updates version, so you can play with this. Oh, it's taking a little too long. Let me.
Your clock's not spinning.
It's as I say, we're on remote meeting and we're recording, so it's slowed down quite a bit. It's way more than necessary. Hmm.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah, it doesn't do the work. Okay, so let's go to manual registration. That's what we are seeing right here. Because of this piece, I think it's classified the markers. So what we want to do is here we go to specify those markers. Typically, you don't need to specify this side, but because of this big piece, so I will do that. New outline. So we get this registered. Now I want to clip this one. I go to segmentation. So I will circle the area I want.
So delineate means keep.
Keep, yeah. So I keep remove some of the markers too, but it doesn't matter. So we'll cut this, and now we will load the STL file of the guide because you have that. Now we have this, right? So you right click on here, you can register any model to anything else. So I'm going to register this guy to the radiographic guide. So we have this in the screen display. Then you say this is something you do regular alignment, right? You specify some points. Let's say we pick a point from here, and maybe something here, and maybe here. Then we register. So that's where we have. Now we register all the three things together. Because this STFL, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, now's a good time to hit save.
All right. Actually, yeah, we can save that. So for as long as this STL file has a good quality, it doesn't have multiple shells, holes, those kind of things, we can use this one for full arch guide. No problem.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to do that?
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, so at this moment, right, if we move on, this is the radiographic guide, not the first guide. So everything can be done with this. Now let's place implant. What number we want to play?
Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, let's wait for the panel. So we're gonna put tooth number 3. Implant. What size you want?
Maybe a 4.3
By 11?
by 13.
By 13?
Yeah.
13 is too
And then can you
long.
put it?
I think 13 is too long. We'll see. You want to tilt?
You would have to. Yes, it has to tilt.
To how much angle you need to be? Like
It's going to be right up against the sinus. Yep. That's the one we want the multi-unit on.
All right. So precision is good, right?
Yeah, we'll throw a multi-unit on it.
All right. So we have that. So then, what's the next? 5?
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, that's fine, I think.
All right. Size. Let's just do that for now. I'm not sure. You want to, I mean, just tilt like this, or you want to do something like a parallel? We got to do the bone reduction, so we need to go deeper.
Correct. Because I think the bone reduction is going to be on the anterior segment.
Let me hide this one too. So, is that too deep?
A little bit in the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's change it to 10.
11.5.
Okay.
We noticed too, if we save the case and come back to it, we can't change implants.
You can.
Is that true?
You can. You get to this number. So every time you click this implant, right, you get into this, you can change the implant by getting to the library.
After you save it and reopen the PIE?
Yes, same thing. Yeah.
Okay, then we're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
All right,
or
continue.
double click, it can get into that. So, okay, so we play 6, right? You want 7?
Yeah. Yeah, try 7.
Okay. So
that plus sign just will reuse the same implant length and diameter you used last time?
yes. So is that too long? I think we don't have space.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'll whistle when he breathes through his nose.
Yeah. All right. So let's say we change it to 10. Still getting to the low nose, and there's no much space here. Maybe we should move 5, right?
Move 5 a little bit over.
Do we get warnings if we're within the 1.5 millimeter
Yes,
zone?
you will. You will.
Can we see it real quick? How it would look if we
Yeah, if you click on safety zone, it's gonna show you that.
Mhm. Okay, but it doesn't turn red or change the color when we when they're together?
It doesn't. When we get into guide design, it's what reminds you again. Here is just to see it.
Okay.
It's space a little tight for 6. Plus you want anchor pins later, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the poor guy won't have any bone left when we're done. It'll be all implant.
Yeah. So what do you think? Should we move on?
Yeah,
Yeah,
move
no,
on.
no. Yep. Move on.
So, time, good here. So I'll just go like that, follow the bone. Maybe a little bit more. Looks good to you?
Yeah, that's fine. Just we can just move on. We'll change it later.
Okay, 10, 12, maybe. Wait a moment, yeah. Do we want to see 11 for this guy?
Yeah, let's go with 11.
What do you think?
That's fine. And then number 14.
Do we need 13 for this one too?
13. Yeah, because we're gonna angle it.
Well, you probably don't have space.
Don't have space.
Even you angle it. Let's see. Yeah, you don't really have space on this side. Yeah. Or you want a bigger angle?
Yes.
Or maybe that's a bit too much.
We can always throw it. We're probably going to put a 30-degree multi-unit on that one anyway.
Alright. So what do you think?
Yeah, it looks like if perfect. Looks like if he bites real hard, his whole face is going to cave in.
Yeah, so we don't have any space for anchor pin. Are we good?
Yep.
I mean,
We can.
we don't place anchor pin?
Well, for the purposes of this demonstration,
Yeah, let's do that.
yeah, let's place them. I mean, we have to have a consultation with Dr. Manalili and maybe talk her down to 5 implants.
All right. So let's choose.
Because I looked at the plan too, and I thought 6 was a hell of a lot.
Yeah. So let's choose the short anchor pin, and we place one here. Maybe. So if you zoom in. For anchor pin, we do show you the different color.
Okay, so when it's hitting adjacent
Yeah,
tooth, it's red.
For here,
Then-
you see
Okay.
here we are in the situation there's no way we can
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah, because I think the anchor pin sleeve is hitting the guided sleeve.
It's in the safety zone.
we're doing the bone, so that should be fine. Oh, actually, we should go out a little bit if we want to do some tissue thing. Maybe higher. Yeah, we're still in the situation that we're gonna hit.
That's okay. That's not important right now
Okay, so
because we can adjust the anchor pins and plans and stuff. I think we're more interested in how we get from this
so
Mm-hmm.
into
so
our
yes,
stacked
we
surgical
cannot
guides.
place it here, right? I would say let's just place 2 pins for the moment.
The bone guides fit pretty tight.
You mean the models you print last time?
Yes.
Yeah, they fit. It fits nice and snug. We did not get a chance to try it on the patient, unfortunately.
Yeah. So let's check this. All right. So maybe we'll just leave with this now. I think now here's the thing about guide design. I kind of purposely leave that part to now. So let's go back to visit the bone issue. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna do this bone tissue pinning thing. So we'll fill the bone first, then I'll show you what we are supposed to do with that. So we have the bone structure here. Well, I guess it's let me adjust the threshold a little. Let's see. Why it's not doing that for me? I will do this again. Wait a moment. Let me do 2.5.
I think it needs to be like 7 or 8 for this guy.
So what I'm gonna do is we are gonna choose this piece for guide design, and I'm going to create a tissue model out of the prosthesis, add 2 pieces in the posterior, then we make a combined guide with both tissue bone and bone level. So we're going to do a combination of that. This is quite different. So it's really a special situation because of the bone. So it's generating the bone model now.
So did you gals get that? It's going to be bone-borne in the front and tissue-borne in the back.
Tissue-borne.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
So you will. So we have quite a few cases with some doctors, and we got all kind of work wrong. And once I did actually create some guides with other doctors, but I think now we need to build this in the workflow. Now this is a bone model we processed, right? Processed. Now here is what is going to be different from what we had before. So I'm gonna click this button to select this area. To extract this piece, that's gonna be the base for my bone level area, right? Then I'm gonna take the last prosthesis model. I'll make this one the current. I'm gonna extract the tissue side because I don't think I got a tissue model scan. So I get the tissue side because I don't have an STL file. So what I'm gonna do is I go to load case page here. There's a trim and make solid. So I'll click on this one. You see by default it's create a plane on my screen orientation. I'll deal with that later. Then I have these 2 buttons. This one will let me to cut the area I want to make a model out of the impression. So it's going to cut this piece. You have the tissue side and the occlusal side. Then we do one more cut. Because right now they are about the same size. We do one more cut. So we do go here, make sure we don't actually hit the model. Then we have a small piece removed on the occlusal side. That should be fine. Check the. So this is a tissue model, right? So I'm gonna. So after this, I rotate my view so that I see the tissue side. I'll rotate this plane. So that's gonna define the orientation of my model. I'm going to use middle button to drag this guy. So we'll create a model to extrude the tissue side to this plane. So I'll finish this creation. Now you have this model.
That's pretty sweet.
Wow.
Now,
Did you guys notice that his hands never left his wrists?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sweet. All right. So we have a tissue model based on the intaglio of the
Yes,
stone model.
yes. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, cause if you look at this side, right, my bone model is it's somewhere here, and what I want is I want to have the tissue bone guide on the posterior. So what I'm gonna do is first I will trim this piece. It's probably too much here. So I have the tools. I'm gonna cut this model. So I'll go like that. It's going to get rid of this piece. Oh, sorry. I gotta. I'm sorry. I used the wrong tool. I gotta select the aerial. So.
I did that 4 times earlier.
Okay.
Uh,
So I'm gonna select
clockwise,
this area.
counterclockwise.
Yeah. So, well, for this tool, actually, it doesn't matter. It's just that we have two tools to keep and or to get rid of that. I have one step. Then I'm gonna do the second thing. Is I'm going to just to guess. This is the area I want to have the tissue area. Now we will have the bone and we have this tissue model. Now we have that. So maybe if we check the bone model, we should cut a little bit more here. Let me hide this guy for now. Yeah, so we actually have more space. So I will cut a little bit more so we can expose the implant area. So we do one more time.
Well, I see a lot of 3D printing in your future, Mui.
I
Mhm.
know.
We have that.
We got to get that soft tissue material.
We have this, right? Then I'm gonna say, this is one more trick here, do things here. I'm gonna right click, tell the system, set this as part of the surgical guide base.
Ah.
So your version doesn't have this yet, so I'm gonna update your version. So now we have a combination of the bone and the tissue. Now if we go to deny surgical guide, for depth control, we click ignore for the moment. The default. Now this one we can fairly just ignore that. Now we tell this is from the model cutting because that's a radiographic cut. We cut it to minimum. Now we say go do bone or tooth level surgical guide. Now here it says ask you have created multiple bone segments or the model, right? Do you want to combine them as a guide base? If we say yes, it's going to generate the model that combines the bone and the tissue. So that's the combined model. It's the tissue level and the bone level. And then we say bone reduction guide. We're gonna rotate. You see, I always try to put the screen like this first, then we rotate the view so that arrow points to us. Then we rotate that. We move the plane up to determine where to cut.
You make that look so easy, Frank.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm like wiggling around the whole entire
yeah,
screen.
this is just a little trick. So middle button to move this up and down, and rotate left button to tilt the plane like that. So that's how we do that, right? Then we determine how much bone we want to cut. Remember, this is where the tissue is, right? Maybe we
Right.
cut till this point, maybe. So we go say, okay, I'm gonna define the area I want to do the bone cutting. And then I'll drag this one, so we see the height. So we'll just cut to where the plane is. Typically, that's what we do, right? Then we click on cutting. So, by the way, Brian, this step, the bone model is quite improved. You see, I click this, it gives you the results right away.
Yeah, that's nice.
With the older version, it's gonna take a long time in this step. Now we got it quite right away, right?
Yeah.
And then
By the older version, you mean what, Wednesday of last week?
Yeah. Oh, it's been like that, like slow. So then we define the base for the surgical guides. We use this button or we use this either of those. So if we use this one, so I'm gonna define the area. Just do that for now. We'll cut this. And we will look around, do one more cut.
Now, I notice you tend to circle what you want to keep instead of circle what you want to get rid of.
Depends, right? Like here, right? If we turn around, then we can do either way. So maybe a better way to do is to do this, right, for here.
Counterclockwise.
Yeah, or maybe we get rid of the sharp corner too, right? We don't need that.
And then you click cut, and then that
Yeah.
removes whatever you circled.
Yeah. So that's the base for the surgical guide we have here. There's a little bit thing here. I think I cut this way too much. I remember the second cut for the tissue model, I probably cut too much. So there is something here, a sharp thing here. We very likely we can live with it, but if we want to, we can get rid of that. When we generate the guide, we can sort of fill in the hole. So I can get rid of this a little. That's what we have as a base. Now we hit generate the guide. As we have here, so this is option 1 is 2 guides, bone reduction guide and a surgical guides. Option 2 is a stackable guides, surgical guides part and the bone reduction part. And we need to make sure the undercuts orientation. For this case, the angle is pretty much like that. So you rotate the view like this. Then you say I want to update the undercuts direction so that it's the screen orientation. Then you just go ahead and generate the guide.
Who's whistling? Who's whistling?
Oh, my daughter's Zoom class.
Which grade?
5th grade. History. She's doing history right now. And her name is Mia.
My little one is in 6th grade.
Really? And is her name Mia too?
No, her name is Annie.
this will be a little more interesting of a flap for her.
Yes, it's kind of a little complex in terms of, you know, how much you need to flap.
Well, we watched her last week. She's got no problem flapping.
Right. I mean, because we have, well, we have the tissue level here, right? So I think the flapping area, you can just go, well, it doesn't really matter. Close to this or a little bit more, a little bit less, so it shouldn't matter, right? So we have the orange, the base for the guide, and then we're going to cut this into 2 pieces.
After our guide pin show up.
Yep. The pin is always a little challenging in bone reduction situation, actually. Yeah, no, we got that. So
did it propose a second guide on the top there?
yes, this is a second guide. So you got 2 guides here, different color. So this one piece, this another piece, right? Then you want to add a connector to that. So you click on this. Let me turn off this plane for a moment, actually. Wait a moment. Okay, so you click this button. That on this second guide, you want to add a pin arrow so you can set the first one. So I move this one here. Move to we can do better, but it turns out that just a block is good enough, you know, because you have to hold the guide properly, anyways. So if we place that there, then we will finish this part. So we'll have a slot on here, and we have a protrusion on the first guide. Then
yeah, it took me a while to figure out. You click the button a second time to
finish.
execute the
Yeah,
cut.
sorry. Okay, so we do same thing here. Let's see why it doesn't go to the right place the first time. Okay, let's say we are doing that, right? We finish the cutting. So that's how we create the feature for you to place the second guide. So let's say if we don't want to create anything on the back, and then we are done with this. And let's check so Brian, for the guide here, you see the anchor pin area. There are a couple of buttons here. For the guide base, you can hide that from here. So you see the tissue area, you see the model, you see the anchor pin is no longer protrudes this area.
Beautiful.
Then if you want to do any post-processing, that's if you go to this page, this is where you want to go, right? Let's say you go here, you can write text here. Sometimes our clients, they put a numbers there or just a patient's name, it doesn't matter. Let's say we put Jimmy here, for example. You put on here, you can rotate this. That's about right. And you finish that, it's going to cut a text here. Then as far as trimming, etc., irrigation window, those kind of things, you can always go to other tools. You haven't seen that.
Now, I can add more than just one name,
You
right? I can keep adding.
You can more than that. For example,
okay.
if you want to add another text here saying, let's say this tooth number 3, for example, right? Then you add in here, rotate. That's it. You can make it bigger.
Sweet, sweet, sweet.
Yeah,
Just what we talked about in the meeting.
I told you could do it.
Mhm.
Can we add emoji faces?
Oh,
I
smile
wish we
face.
could. I'm sorry, but actually
Now,
not yet.
look straight down, so we're looking directly at the bone cutting, where the bone's going to be cut. Flip it 180. There we go. See that protrusion? You had it right.
Uh-huh.
Flip it 180 from that.
Where?
There we go. There's one piece right dead center that pokes into the bone.
The guide?
Yeah,
Yeah.
would we be able to trim that if we wanted to?
Yeah.
That
no
part,
problem. You can
that
just,
part of the guide?
That part.
I think that's because of the channel there. Yeah, you can just cut
The
it.
nerve channel, yeah.
Mhm.
You can just go ahead here, right? You circle this area and trim. So those things basically the same thing. Circle and trim inspection window, it's the same thing. But this is just one button click. This circle and trimmer is a little bit different. It keeps you have options to keep the material or remove. But the inspection window is just to take away the piece. So here we go.
Yeah, I didn't know if there'd be anything
Perfect.
in that nerve channel that would interfere with some soft tissue.
Yeah, that's for sure something there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good not to have the guide butt up against it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, that looked easy, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we got a guide that's bone-borne and tissue-borne, which is kind of freaking me out a little bit.
well, because really you don't have any space on the back.
Yeah.
Right. Alternative is you create two guides. One is a tissue-borne. You finish the two on the anterior. I mean posterior. And then you do a small little bone guide.
Could I keep the implant placement in exactly the same place, keep everything the same, but go back and generate a second guide on this plan?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So we need to go back to the planning page here and find the guide that we cut. Remember we cut this guy already, right?
Uh-huh.
That's a thing. If we want to design the surgical guide based on this, we're too late because it's been cut. We can add the model again, or use we have two choices, right? Add the model again, or click on this guy. Oh, wait a moment. Yeah, we cut this one already. So or we click on this guy, say I want this as a surgical guide base. So typically you don't have the digital model of the denture. Then you just click on this and you tell the system make this guy as a base for my surgical guide. It asks you, is this actually a radiographic guide? You say yes. Now we go back to surgical guide design. Let's save the data for the moment. Then you go to surgical guide design, right? Remember it was bone level guide, right? So we need to say, okay, I want a tissue bone guide like that. Then you do reset so that we start from scratch. I'm a little bit nervous with the current radiographic guide, so ideally I would load the optical scan and then do that. So I'm sure now I probably will just take a chance to see how it goes, and we will load another guide. So we'll just click on this, generate the surgical guide.
That's pretty sweet. So all those guides will exist. We can turn them on or turn them off in that selection window.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies, that was a detour, but I thought it might be interesting. especially if we want to have a handful of guides to bring to Dr. Manlily.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So for this, right, ideally we need to go to the segmentation page, trim those bad area, so we have a good
Mm-hmm.
shape. But I'm kind of taking a chance here.
Yeah, we've been playing with the circle right, circle left, wax on, wax off.
Uh, well, circle things, right? I want to mention for post-processing of this kind of guide, never cut through this area. Just make a hole.
You're Mr. Miyagi, Frank.
Cut away.
Or Karate Kid 1, Karate Kid 2,
All right.
3.
Now we good. Right? So we finish that. The text will have to be gone though. They're not in the right location. So that's the guide we finished. As we can tell, this side is not that good, right? Because we place the implant quite on the anterior, on the lingual side, we don't cut that much. In order to get a better result, let me go back. Let's load the model again. So I'm gonna load this tissue model again. Radiographic denture model again. I'm going to say register to my first guide, the radiographic guide. Do the same thing as we did before. So we will do a couple points. Now we do the alignment. I guess the results is not ideal. Maybe for demo purposes, I'll just leave that. Otherwise, you say reset. Let's do a reset. Then it's actually got to go back to the radiographic guide. I do register to this guy. Okay, specify the markers again. Let's get something here this time. I don't want to make same. Okay, wait a moment.
What if you accidentally put a marker in the wrong place?
You can delete. Say I delete that. Use your keyboard delete on the keyboard. That another thing is you can add for if not radiographic guide, you can continue adding points to adjust the result. So you can do like that. So somewhere here. So you can add in more points so that you can get a better results. If in any situation you feel the results is kind of bad, you always get something you don't like, you can say, okay, let's do a measurement. I'm going to measure the distance from here to here. Then I'm going to make here. I'm sorry. So I'm going to measure the distance from here to here. So you can see the model size could be different, right? You can evaluate what went wrong, etc. So that's something you can do to check the size of the models. I guess I'm gonna finish this here. Then we go back to surgical guide design. Now you will see this guy is now the base for the surgical guide. I'm going to reset this one. So now you have a nice model for the base of the surgical guide, right? Then you then generate that. Hole, and then you can remix this because it's a digital design, got good model quality. I'm not sure why it's flashing this progress bar here. It should be finished already. Yeah, maybe
No, it's white
maybe
bar.
too many implants. That's my only thing I can blame.
Yeah. We put Dr. Manalili doesn't seem to be an all-on-4 person.
Well, I guess most U.S. doctors they don't like, right?
Well, the clear choice people don't seem to mind it. All right, well, this.
Now we are doing the anchor. You know, I only have a doctor in Hong Kong. His name is James Chow. He has been a global speaker for many years. He did lots of 104 cases and bone reduction cases. It depends. I have seen doctors they like 104, so others they don't like 104 at all. So now we finished the guide, right? It's for those areas you still have to use post-processing to or if you before you generate the surgical guide, if you click on this button, it's going to if you click on this button, it's going to make a rectangular slot cutting for each of the implant holes. Then it's for sure will take away this material. So that's another option.
We could make the radius bigger too,
yes,
correct?
We can increase this one, for example, to it's already big, but you can always change this one to a bigger value. Then it will cut more materials. A little bit more about this positioning guide. Imagine for 4-arch cases, if with 6 implants, you have a very good chance all the teeth are cut away. It's very good. Very, very likely all the teeth will be cut away. Then, when you put on this guy on the patient's mouth, because the tissue is so flat, it's a little hard to determine. Oh, there's something wrong here. I'll check that. It's a little bit hard to determine if the guide will sit properly. So that's how this positioning guide can be used. It only gives you the anchor pins. So you can put onto the mouth, make sure the bite is good. If you have a bite registration, you have an antagonist bite, make sure the bite is right. Then you make the anchor pin hole. The vertical tissue model. Remember we switch back and forth. So
yeah, we changed in the middle.
Probably not right because we didn't regenerate with the new model. So if I delete this one, right? If I delete this one, I go to here. I can recreate this. Then we go to regenerate guide. It should be correct. This is one thing we can do with that. Then we can go and generate the guide. So typically,
if we have a model, we can actually mount them up here. We could make a bite that bites against this surgical guide.
Exactly.
If we don't, then we would want to have the doctor use the bite, hopefully that they took before.
Yeah. You can
align it with the positioning guide.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Or like you said, then we may have to pull a couple of teeth, use the positioning guide, place the anchor pins, take the guide off, yank the remaining teeth, and then put a sec. Yeah, there's no way to do 2 guides for an extraction case, or a stacked guide for an extraction case. When's your Chrome-like version coming out?
We actually quite delayed on that project because one, I kind of don't want to do exactly the same as Chrome does. Kind of we had a discussion last year, and we got different just approaches, but it seems like it's still end up with something almost same as Chrome guides. So we are a little concerned about that. We'll work on that. If we just want to go that way, we should be really quick. But we'll keep working on that still. Then another thing is tissue, right? We have talked about that. You actually generate tissue yourself, so we can do that here too. But for this case, because the bone model has nothing on the posterior, so this may end up with something not that great for the tissue, because we don't even have bone here. Well, we'll give it a try.
Let's see. Roll the dice.
So for Chrome guides, the major good thing is you have a good restoration reference, right? When you do the cutting.
That's what we really would love to see.
Well, I guess if you want that, I would definitely work on that. That's not a problem.
I am. Oh no.
You know, Brian, for the single unit case, I kind of like what those two guys, Jeff Moy, and what's another guy's name? They went to GuideMia too, if you remember. They have the Lucy.
No, I'm a newbie
They
here.
have the Lucy the guide, single unit. You don't need optical scan. You take the impression.
Oh, yeah, that's Dr. Aboud.
Yeah, Marcus, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, here we generated that, but it takes this model. It actually has a tissue part as a reference, so it's this
All right,
piece
so
is gone.
maybe not the best example
Yeah.
to do what we were doing.
Yeah, but still we have this one, right? This
Yeah.
looks nice. Just that piece because of the model. Yeah, we have that. And, you also have the bone model with the hole here. Because it treats this one as the bone model. That's why. I guess you
Yeah,
can
'cause we
print
combine
this
them.
one, you can print this one, take the bone reduction guide, and put onto this, right? You can do that too.
Oh, we're going to. Now go back. Can you go back to where we could put the anchor, the holes in the model,
Okay.
the abutment holes?
You want to generate that?
Now again, again stacking thing upon thing. Yeah,
Stuff.
that one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, abutment holes.
Generate that.
Let's see how much memory your computer has.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey Frank, for the file, for the model, afterwards when it's done, is it compatible with ExoCAD as well as 3Shape?
Yes, we export all STL files. So
Okay.
So if you, for example, if you want to do immediate restoration, we can export models with implants, with abutments, with scan bodies, everything. So you can.
Okay, what about analogs?
We put, if you replace the scan body file as analogs, we can do that, but in general, the function is not there. We don't export analogs. We export the implant body. Implant
Okay,
Yeah, which-
body.
Okay. So when you export the file, the final file, when it outputs it, your doctor approves it. So it will generate the STL file for the guide, correct?
Everything in the
Ev-
process workflow we create, you can export STL files for them.
Okay. Because like the file that I really want is like the file of the because I know with 3Shape
Yeah.
they have the file with the gingival with the implant placement as well as the other one with the implant placement. There's two different ones.
Yeah. I'll show you how do we export that file.
Okay.
Is this still working on? So that's pretty straightforward. So there's a button under this project menu. We'll wait for this to finish, I guess. So it has two steps to generate this guide. The first is a guide with anchor pin. So that's what we have now. And then it's going to make the implant holes abutment holes on this model.
Will it keep the anchor pins?
Yes.
That's our alignment.
Yeah. So basically, what you can do, right? You can use zirconia or whatever material, to make this one with anchor pins, plug into the mouth, right? Then adjust. Then make sure it fit well. If you need to grind, you grind it. Then you take it out. Then you grind away the anchor pins. Then you have a restoration.
I mean, it's not quite as sexy as Chrome, but it would do the job.
Yeah. For Chrome, the main thing, people are against that. This hole size we can adjust, because right now, when we create the plan, when we create the plan, we don't use glidable abutments, so we use generic shape. In the generic shape on the collar area of the abutments, we can actually change the size. So we didn't change it. That's why the hole comes with. So if you go to placement area, go to sleeve page. Abutment page. The hole size is this OD. It's quite small. It's 2.5. So that's why you see it's small holes. We can make it bigger before we even get into this function. So this is basically along the implant orientation and make a straight holes for the abutments. So that's if we want to put the multi-unit abutments, that's a little different to work on. So back to the question about the gingival model, etc. So let's just do this. Let's say I'm going to add, well, you can choose not to, but we can do that. Let's say we add abutment scan bodies here. I don't think I have, do we have your scan body here? Yes,
I
don't-
do actually, scan abutments, right? Let's say
Yes.
we do this clinical scan abutment.
It's going to be the old ones, I bet.
Yeah, it's gonna be the old one.
I don't even have that in storage.
I'll get you the new scan abutments.
Okay, let me check this. I don't even have the STL file, but otherwise I should display that, right? Then here is what you need. You go to export. Here is your options. You can export the
Okay.
radiographic guide, implants, and sleeves. Radiographic guide, implants, and abutments. Well, it's not really radiographic guide for tooth-borne, tissue-borne guide. That's a tooth-borne guide. That's the model itself basically. For full arch case, this actually gives you the virtual tissue model and the implants and abutments. For implants, we're not going to export this STL file for you. We export the generic cone shape. Because we, as typically we have NDA with implant companies, nobody can export this STL file. But if you want,
Right.
we can modify that. So otherwise, you get a cone shape of the sleeve implants. Or you can just say, I want all the abutments, I want all the implants. We can do that. So those are the options you have for the immediate restoration. Then you can export the model with scan bodies and the implants so that you can do the let's just export one. I'm gonna export this one. So let me do this. Here's what you have. They comes in. We put them into one single file. Again, if you want to, we can export into different files. But this is what we have now, altogether.
Now, if that was the scan bodies,
Yes.
you should be able to pull that right into 3Shape, right?
Yes. If this is a scan body, you can just put into the 3Shape or ExoCAD, do your stuff. For the
Do your stuff.
for customized abutment design or restorations, etc.
All right, I need to get you the STLs for all our new scan abutments.
Okay.
Just could you send me a quick, where you want the 000 point? I suppose you want it right at the...
It's the origin point will be same as implant.
Okay, the same, so that when they were put together,
Well,
the origin points would overlap?
Yeah, when they were placed together, the origin is at the implant origin.
Okay, perfect.
The is in this
Okay.
orientation. Yeah, that's it. And the buccolingual side is Y. So for abutment, sometimes this orientation matters, right? So this is Y, this is X, then this is Z.
X is buckle.
Yeah, yeah. No, sorry. X is
Okay.
mesiodistal.
Okay.
Y is buccal.
Perfect. All right. You guys want to practice and play around a little bit on your own now?
Frank, can you save that real quick? And then can
Yes.
you just and reopen it and change the implant? Because when we try that, it keep having, you can't change it.